Hello everybody and welcome to this video. Today I will show you how you can create a date slider, or maybe you could call it a week slider, where you can actually scroll between different weeks of the year here. And I will show you how you can potentially generate the different dates here, and also how to set up the slider. And I'm going to be using a library that I really like that makes this sliding behave very well on both iOS and Android. Okay, cool. I'm gonna create a pretty simple version, so if you wanna add some state to this, like being able to select a date, that's pretty straightforward. And just reach out if you have any question about that. Okay. All right. Before we get started, let's actually open up the terminal here and then pull in the dependencies that we're going to need for this little component. So the first one is going to be one that's called React Native Patron View. And this one is pretty cool. It helps us creating the sliding effect, making it working on both platforms, and also being quite a nice library. And you can see here I'm adding the next on the end here, and that's because I want to pull in the latest version that supports lazy loading. So this is not something we're going to use really in this example, but I've been using the next version for a little while, and it's been working great for me, so I recommend doing the same. And in case you are loading a long list that needs to be scroll through, then it's just a plus, right? Okay. And the other library that we're gonna need is gonna be date-fns, date functions. This one is very cool, almost mandatory, I would say, if you're working with dates in JavaScript. At least it has saved me a lot of headaches trying to navigate with dates. And since Moment.js is no longer, I would definitely recommend reaching out for this one. Alright, after you pull out those two libraries, we're actually ready to begin. And the first thing that I would like to do is actually to generate an interval of dates, or I want to generate each week that I'm interested in showing in the app. And this might come from an API in your case, or you might just have to generate it on the client. So in case you need to generate on the client, this is going to be very useful for you. Okay, so outside here, I'm actually gonna define a variable, and I'm gonna make use of a helper called each week of interval, which is going to generate a week of the interval that I pass in here. And I can pass in a start and an end. And both this start and this end is going to be a date object. And I'm gonna generate 4 weeks, I think. So to do that, I can use another helper called subtract days. And the first parameter is going to be a date, and I'm just going to choose today, and I'm going to subtract by 7, or actually maybe 14. Yeah, so this is my start. So now I need to put in the end as well, and I'm going to do a similar thing here. I'm actually going to grab today's date, add 14, or actually add 14. I'm going to delete this sub days and then use the helper add days. And then now my end date is actually 14 days ahead of today. Okay, so now I have my interval here, my start and my end, and this should generate all the weeks in between these two dates. Okay, so this is just an example. You can put in any value here, but I'm just gonna do this as an example to begin with. Okay, and just a remark before we continue, you could, when you define these dates, you could go ahead and manually type out each day like this, make an array and then start typing array, but it's gonna take quite a while and it's not very fun and not very scalable, you could say. So I'm gonna go ahead and use these helper functions from date functions to generate our different weeks here. And then I suggest you also do something like this. Yep. Okay, so next up, we have the different weeks now. So this could return something like, yeah, something like this, right? So this might be the starting day of week 1. And then this incremented by 7 might be plus 8, 7. This might be something like this, right? So you have an array of different starting dates here. Now we actually still need to generate all the days between the start day of the week and the end day of the week. So all the days from Monday to Sunday, in my case. If your week starts on Sunday, it's just going to be Sunday to Saturday, yeah? And since it's actually starts on Monday for me, I'm going to pass in week starts 1. 1 here. I'm going to put this in here as a second parameter, just to make sure that I have Monday as my starting date. If Sunday is yours, you can just ignore this. Okay? Cool. So yeah, as I said, we need all the days between. So I'm going to actually add a reduce on top of this one. And if you're new to reduce, this might be a little confusing, but I'm going to try to explain as best as possible here. So reduce takes an accumulator. So this is our final result. And because we're using TypeScript, we can benefit a lot here by actually adding the type of the accumulator. I'm going to assign it to an array of dates here. So an explanation in a little bit why that is. And then second parameter is going to be our current element, which is going to be, yeah, a date, right? So if you hover over here, we can already see that TypeScript knows this is a date because we have an array of dates up here. So it can infer that type. Okay. So let's see, what do we need to do in here? Okay. So first thing, actually, we need to define our initial value here. And since we don't really have any initial value, I'm just gonna put an empty array in here. Okay. So how can we get this array of dates? How can we do that? So let's define a new variable, call it all days, and then actually grab another helper called each day of interval. It's very similar to the one we just used. You pass in a start and an end, but this time we are gonna generate all the days between the start and end date. So not the weeks, but days this time. And we already have our start, right? We already got that from the previous method. Now we just need to generate the end. To get the end here, we can actually just add on top 6 days. As my very clever copilot already suggested, to our current date here. And then we should actually get Sunday. So this will be Monday always. This is going to be Sunday after we add 6 days. Okay, cool. So if we actually push those into our accumulator here and then make sure we remember to return it, we should actually get what we like. Okay. And I don't know if this was a little bit confusing, but I'm going to try to explain as I log these dates what just happened here. Okay, so let's try to find a terminal. All right, so this is how it looks now. And as you can see here, we have the 24th of April, and then next to it we have the 25th, so that looks correct. 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. Okay, so this is the first week. That looks about right. And then here starts the second week, and that's has May 1st. He has the first element. That also looks correct. So if we remove this reduce, I just wanted to show you how it looks before. So this is how it looks before. We have just an array of dates, and we have, for each week, we have the starting day of the week timestamp here, or date stamp. So the 25th, 1st of May, the 8th of May, and the 15th of May, and the 22. So by adding the reduce here and generating all the days in between the interval that we define here, which is the first day of the week, adding 7 days on top, then we get this, right? I hope this makes sense now. Okay? Cool. Cool. Let's remove this terminal and actually go down here and start rendering out something to the screen. So right now we just have a view. I'm gonna remove that and add a page view here. And here it is important to note that if you're using the next version of the library that I'm using, it's going to be a named import up here. Yeah, so if you're not using the next version, you need to just do a default import, and that should also be clear from the documentation. But this import is not clear from the docs, so I'm just letting you guys know this is how it works. Okay, cool. So down here we're looking good. Now we need to render out something that we can slide between. And in our case, it's going to be the different weeks, right? So let's grab our new dates variable here and then expose a week and then also the index. And I'm going to use the index for the key in a moment. So here comes a quite important bit. So when you render out something as child of the page view, you need to always render out a view, no matter what, and you need to make sure you assign a key to it, because if you don't, then stuff is going to look bad on Android. So make sure you do that. So something like this, and whatever you put as children underneath it, it's all up to you, but you just need to make sure you render out that view and assign the key to it and nothing else. No styling or anything, otherwise it might get a little bit messy. Okay, so now since we did that, I am gonna just add a new view here, and I'm gonna add some styles. So far I didn't add any styling yet, so down here I'm just gonna add a styles variable, which is gonna the formatting looks a little bit weird because I did a jump, so I need to make sure I import style sheet, and then I'm gonna add, actually I also need a container in here, so I'm gonna add a styling called container. I'm gonna use that for the page view, but I'm also gonna add one called row, and I'm just gonna put the flex direction to row for now. That should be good. So now up here in the styles, I can reference styles.row. And why are we even adding the styling? So let's just explain that. So up here, we're gonna have the different weeks, and we're gonna have each day on a line here. So that's why I'm going with the row here, because we're gonna have all the days in a row here: Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and so forth. Yeah. And this flex styling here is just more or less a requirement for the page view. So at least using my layout here, so I'm gonna make sure I add that one on the page view here. Okay, cool. So after we have added that, we can actually go ahead and start looping over all the days. And for that, I can grab the week here and then call map again. And in my week, I have a day. And in here, I want to return just a plain old view until for now. And inside here, I'm going to render some text at some point. Just going to put some dots there for now. So now we have something on the screen, just some dots. But yeah, I want to render something more, maybe a little more interesting than dots. So let's go ahead here and define some text. And I could just render out the date like this. So let's grab the day. So this is a date object, so it has some methods on it. One is to date string. Like I could just start out doing that. That's gonna look like this. So yeah, not how I want to represent it, but you can see we get the different dates here and the year and everything. But as I said, I'm not interested in showing all that. I just want to show maybe the first letter of the day of the week as the first thing. So here I can use date function's format function. And just like previous, we will pass in a date as the first parameter here. And that's just going to be day, right? So that's a date. And then I need to put in a format string here. I need to check out the docs for what to put exactly here. If I want the first letter of the day of the week, I need to put in 5 E's. So that's why I put in 5 E's here. And then now I can go down here, and instead of rendering this long date string, I'm just going to render out my new variable that I call text. And that should result in the following up here: Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Sunday, Saturday. Okay, yeah. And you can see if I actually start to grab here, I can already start sliding between the different days here. And you can see if I'm stopping halfway, then I will go back. So this is some nice stuff that is of course included in the library, which is why I recommend using this library, so you don't have to wire all this stuff up yourself. And yeah, but yeah, the starting is a little bit off, but at least we're rendering out so far what we're expecting. Okay, so now we can actually go down here to our row and then add justify by content, maybe space around. Let's say we want to just create a little bit of spacing here. We want it to be equal sized. Could look like this. And yeah, maybe I want to show a little more text here. Like I'm probably interested in knowing what day of the month is it exactly. So for that I can just go exit state and then even just add or access the native get date property here, which is gonna render out the number just underneath it. And as you can see, it doesn't look perfect, so I could add a little more styling here, just one property, which would be align items center, and then go up here and actually apply that to my view, and then that will look a tiny bit better there. Yeah, okay. But actually we do have all the dates here that I expected. So currently it's the 9th of May, so it's here, right? So this is today's date. When I generated the interval here, I subtracted by 14, so I can actually go 2 days behind. But I can also go not 2 days, 2 weeks. I can go 2 weeks backwards, but I can also go 2 weeks forward, right? So actually I have 5 weeks in total when I generate this interval up here. So that's all nice and working. And yeah, the sliding is working pretty nice as well. So yeah, you can add a little more styling up here, of course, if you want maybe some spacing here or want to make this text bold or whatever it may be. That's pretty easy to add. And also, as I said in the start of the video, if you want to add some state here, like when I select this day, then maybe the styling changes and something gets rendered out here underneath, depending on that state select. Let me know if you want to see that, then I can make maybe a follow-up video. Otherwise, I hope this video was useful for you, that you learned something about how to create a component like this, and also a little bit about dates. And yeah, okay, cool. I'll see you in the next one, and peace out for now.